Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 10 of Forget Your Warranty, the review series for Gran Turismo's selection of tuner cars, the majority of which fall into the category of being kind of a showcase for what the manufacturer can do, what kind of parts they offer visually and mechanically, and the vast majority of them do feel like that. Many of them are just that. Some others though are more competition based, such as time attack or drifting. And so within the aftermarket tuner car category on Gran Turismo, which interestingly has always been a very strong category on the game, there have always been a pretty broad selection of tuner cars on the game, not just in the traditional sense, but in the literal aftermarket tuner sense, that you've pretty much got something for everyone. You've got drifters, you've got race cars, you've got time attack, you've got more street-based vehicles, and so pretty much whatever you're into, there will probably be something in there that will appeal to you, be it imports, muscle, whatever. And this particular pick is a vehicle which feels much more specialised than some others in terms of its target audience, because the car is of course a Nismo, legendary tuning company. They are to Nissan in terms of effectiveness basically what Ruf is to Porsche or AMG is to Mercedes. They don't have the same scope as those companies, but they're probably at least as well respected, certainly among aficionados of Nissan. And this particular car feels a little bit more niched than some of their more mainstream, say, Skyline-based models, which are the obvious choice to go for. If you're going to tune a Nissan, the GTR is pretty much the way to go. Then after that would come the Fair Ladies, the Silvias, etc. Now this of course is based on a Silvia, the S14 chassis, and the car is called, of course, the 270R. And this vehicle is a very useful car to have if you are a fan of some very specific vehicle types. Obviously the Silvia, if you're a fan of that, then it goes without saying you'll like this car, but also for some very interesting niches within racing, such as four-cylinder racing. Now, I don't know many people who actually do much cylinder or capacity specific racing on Gran Turismo. It would be cool if we could have that as a race restriction, but as far as I'm aware, there is no way to do that at the moment. But in lobbies that I've personally been in, especially for top speed racing, some people do like racing four-cylinder cars against each other. And it's surprising how difficult it can be to find an outstandingly good four-cylinder top speed car. There are definitely some, and most of them are from Nissan. In fact, most of them are based on the S chassis, the Silati, the 240SX, this car. Nissan pretty much has the primary monopoly on fast four-cylinder cars on Gran Turismo, at least in terms of top speed. There are of course others which are quick for acceleration and all-round speed, such as Evos, Imprezas, etc., but they're nowhere near as strong for top-end performance as most of the S chassis vehicles. Now this particular model is very quick. It's got more power than pretty much any of the other S14s available on the game, apart from, I think, the HKS version may be more powerful, and it's quick for its power. The engine is a 2 litre. You can turbocharge it up to 572 horsepower, which is a lot more than the road versions. It also puts out 459 foot-pounds of torque and only weighs 1,044 kilos, which isn't too surprising for the S chassis. They are pretty lightweight vehicles. Horsepower per tonne is good at 548, and the PP is actually very reasonable. 548 is very good, I would say, for this car. Certainly not too high. But, and any who have been around on the channel for a bit longer won't be surprised that I say this, but be careful when you choose to race it. This car definitely has its uses, but this isn't something that will beat everything that it comes up against. The top speed on this car is very good. Not quite as quick as the Silati or the 240SX, but very quick nonetheless. Now as far as price, this car is actually, for a tuner car, very good. This car only costs 45 grand, and that is very cheap for an aftermarket tuner car, especially when you compare it to other vehicles with similar kind of specs, such as the Trials Celica, which costs 125 grand. So the price on this vehicle is actually really good, and it's not that much more expensive than some of the models that you get straight from the Nissan dealership. Not necessarily just S-chassis vehicles, but others too. Now, as far as its all-round ability, not just top speed, that's where you need to be a little bit more careful. Because although it's definitely not a bad car in any particular way, the Silvias just aren't really given the competitive range that they perhaps arguably deserve on the game. They don't feel really ever like they have as much power as they should have. To me personally, at least. I'm not a huge Silvia fan, but if I were, I think I would be quite annoyed with the limitations in power that they have. Some of them are different. This one's different, it has a bit more. The HKS version has more, but that's kind of a different vehicle altogether, really. This feels more like a street vehicle, whereas that's a pure drift machine. Like the Evos, Imprezas, E46 shape M3s, just a little underpowered. They don't feel like they really get the due that they deserve. To me, at least, and I'm sure there are people who would disagree with that. But all round, this car, I would say, is a good deal. Specifically for Silvia fans, or S-chassis fans specifically, but besides that, even if you're not a huge fan of the Silvia and you are looking for a competitive, say smaller capacity 2 litre, or say a 4-cylinder coupe, sports coupe, affordable, that kind of thing, then this is a strong one to go for, especially if you would like something with a little bit more personalisation. Being an aftermarket tuner car, it has the stickers, the decals, the body upgrades which you don't get on the regular model, and that does set it apart. Plus you don't see a huge amount of people using the 270R. It is the lowest grade model in the Nismo dealer, but overall I would say it's actually one of the best cars that they offer. It's certainly the most affordable, and it's not just a straight line machine, which it could very easily have been. All round, it's a decent car which doesn't get as much exposure as it deserves. So I would actually recommend, if you've got a spare 45 grand plus a bit for tuning, checking out the 270R, because you may just be impressed by it. But that's it overall for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.